Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome back to Arknights Prelude to Dawn, episode 4, the halfway point through the series. First, a little bit of housekeeping. I got a brand new camera. You probably can notice 60 FPS and all that jazz. Elgato Facecam, it's great, but I'm still fine tuning it in to provide the best quality image that I can get out of it, possibly. So you guys let me know if you like it, if you don't like it. Is it oversaturated? Is it over contrasty? Maybe there's not enough contrast. Maybe there's not enough saturation. Tell me all about it. One day I might have like this bit of a stream where I play with all those sliders live so that you can tell me the difference between them. But for comparison's sake, I did release the Sword Isekai episode. The latest episode of Tensei Shitaraken Deshita was also recorded with Elgato, with slightly different settings. Back then, for example, I didn't have noise suppression or noise smoothing or something like that turned on. This time I'm recording with the noise smoothing turned on. So I might lose a little detail in like my stubble or something, but there won't be any like white noise in the background. So I guess watch this video, watch that other one, and tell me which one you prefer, what to change, what to not change. Maybe you have some experience with Elgato and you can just tell me about it. And of course, one more thing when it comes to housekeeping, this Elgato was sponsored by you guys, by all the amazing people from the Patreon. It is thanks to you that I was able to buy it, and I took care of spending Patreon money on it, not my own Patreon money. So hey, you can really increase the quality of this channel directly, pretty much. Well, indirectly through me, but still. Regardless, before I start ranting, let's get to the anime, right? Let's get to Arknights Prelude to Dawn episode 4. In the previous episode, we finished the Chernobog arc. We got out of Chernobog, and almost all of us, except Ace, except Scout, did anybody else die? Perhaps some unnamed, faceless characters, but nobody we would particularly care about did. Roibos. But we, more or less safe and sound, are back at Rhodes Island at the land ship. Alas, the work of a doctor is never done. The work of Amia, the work of Rhodes, or Rhodes, or however you pronounce it. It's Greek, I think. I'm not sure. The work of those people is never done. There's always something more to do, and this time around, that holds true as well, because we now have to head to Lungmen to some negotiations with the local rulers, with the local, I don't know how to even call them, rulers. I guess that's the best I'm gonna get. And we are trying to negotiate some sort of a working agreement where Rhodes Island would be able to operate their like satellite offices in Lungmen to help their infected, and in exchange, what does Lungmen want, and all that jazz, all those politics. Plenty of politics in Arknights, like a lot. There's a whole event about a revolution in a certain country that Dokuta, of course, has a hand in, because we wouldn't have it any other way, would we? What's next? Yeah, that's essentially what we did, what we achieved in the previous episode. We met W, we met indirectly a couple of other reunion leaders that might or might not show up in this anime, perhaps in future seasons. In this one, I'm not sure there's the time. And of course, we also met some characters at Rhodes Island, well known to everybody who played the game. Probably less so to people who haven't, but maybe after a little bit of my introduction, calling out their name and whatnot, you are at least a little bit familiar with all those operators. In today's episode, in episode 4, that marks halfway through the season, we are headed to Lungmen, and I already see on the first frame of this episode some infected orphans, or just orphans, probably in Lungmen. Lungmen does treat the infected better, but it's still not good treatment, if you catch my drift. They aren't like actively being well, they are actively being discriminated against, but the government doesn't like throw propaganda at people telling them, hey, you should hate the infected. It's more of a natural fear, natural hatred, because, well, infected are dangerous. If they die, the whole neighborhood, the whole block also gets infected and also dies sooner or later. So I don't exactly fault people for wanting the infected gone from their vicinity. Alignment does at least have proper like channels and proper procedures to handle them, so it's a bit of a better place. But we will learn all about it, or some about it. What we don't learn, I might be able to add in this episode. And to watch it, you're gonna need your subs. As always, I'm gonna need my sound. That's not how I do sound, that's how I do sound. I'm gonna need my sound, and I'm gonna have to ask you guys for your continued support. Monetary, Patreon throne, links in the description below. Non-monetary, share my content, spread the word. It does help the channel a lot, because if you don't support me on Patreon, maybe a person you shared my content with will. So you're gonna have like half of what they give me is gonna be on you, kind of sort of deal. Regardless, I'm ranting again. It's late. When it's late, I do have a tendency to rant and to rumble. So let's not. Let's just watch it. In 3, 2, 1, go. Already a different start than from it was in the game. Stereo. And hello, Misha, officially. Little perro, little curanta, and a feline. And Misha being Ursus, of course. Who's chasing her? I honestly don't remember. I think it was the reunion. I don't think it was LGD chasing her in this scene. Well, half of it is that I just don't remember. Half of it is that some of those things are kind of hard to remember with Arknights' storytelling. That's very vague and muddled, and half the things are left for you to read between the lines. Yeah, the early chapters were particularly bad about it. Later chapters, kind of as well, but at least in later chapters they hammer it in your head until you start seeing the between the lines like rotating around your head. So that's a difference. In the early chapters, they tell you something, you got it, you didn't, tough luck. In the later chapters and events, they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and constantly wink at you, hey, did you get the subtext? Did you get the subtext yet, though? So it's a little bit of a different experience. I might be oversaturated a little. I don't know. I don't think I'm this pink. Oh well. You ain't going nowhere because Yato is here. It don't remember Yato taking part in this operation. Liskarm! And Franca. The best couple. An old married couple. Or at least they act like so. Yeah, they're from Black Steel. Jessica is one of Black Steel operators, for example. Where are we going? Or is it like... Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I get the timeline now. They shifted some events around, confused me a little. Not a good choice, my dude. Hello, Chen. Well, tough luck. Every mobile city has only so much resources, so much place for people, and so much capacity for the infected, if any. Doctor is just standing there like a coat hanger. The anime is doing a better job at introducing characters like Chen. Her introduction in the anime is much more impactful and shows her character much better. Welcome to Lungmen. A brief island of civilization among the catastrophe-ridden wastelands. Yes, it's all placed still on moving platforms. Multiple. Because every district of a city is its own separate platform and they converge together into a mobile city. Yep. Langmen was the closest city to Chernobog. Because they're dangerous, like it or not. Yep. Besides that, you don't know how many reunion members are hiding among the infected, right? They might pretend to just be a harmless infected dude, and then they turn out to be a reunion member who just detonates themselves in the city square. What you gonna do about it? Hello, Wei Yenwu. Hello, Kelsey. I love Wei Yenwu's voice. Mr. Wei. Also, I love how Kelsey just casually almost flaunts the Originium crystals. Just a side note. Unlikely. Miss Chen. Yes, actually. Yep. Every disgruntled infected is a potential reunion member. Sign a contract and become a Maho Shoujo Wei Yen Wu. Yeah, it's not theories. Whose words are those? How did they get the recording though? Are you sure about that? Yeah, they have a good and proper structure. Leaders, extremely powerful leaders. No? Tadura. The walking catastrophe. I was expecting her to say Taruda during this stinger. Is she a Draco? Okay, now we have the name. Not just Tarura, others as well. Yeah, leaders see them as expendable and they themselves just throw themselves into battle with reckless abandon. It's also something to consider. Makes sense. That's a bit secretive. That much is also true. What language is that? I'm gonna have to look at it a bit closer. It looks weird seeing a character with a snout from, like, unfast. It's usually, like, from a side, so we actually see the snout. But unfast is weird. Is the Doctor really shorter than Kelsey? I guess she does have some high heels. You certainly don't show that. Okay, and suddenly, like, two more chapters of the game make a little bit more sense. Gonna talk about it a little later. This way to where? To help people, of course. And who are you? A Saura? Doctor just anemically throwing the rocks. Just completely anemic. Yeah, you might wanna walk away. Bakemono again. Always stings. Okay, so we're seeing the paramedic again. Bit of a continuity, that's cool. Hmm. The reunion, if I'm not mistaken. Unlikely. What you gonna do with the orphans, though? Yeah, they ain't got a home. You're in the slums of Lungmen. Take them to Rhodes and have them help out in the kitchen or something. Monster Inspector. Whomst? Chen? Yeah, speak of the devil. Two groups are looking for her. Rhodes and the LGD. Yep. Ho Chen. A bit of a conflict of interest, huh? LGD wants to capture her, Rhodes wants to help her, protect her. Are they a reunion? They don't have masks. Just general Lungman slums gangoons? Because you're living in the slums of Lungmen. Probably shouldn't have come here with this many people, yeah. Just Amia and Liskarm initially. Convince her that you want to help, then slowly start introducing other people. That's also true. I mean, Franca isn't incorrect. They have the means. Except a bit more severely. And that's the mission of Rhodes Island, helping the infected. Right, whether Misha is with Rhodes or in LGD's custody, even, whoever is after her is just gonna have to give up and will stop pestering her friends. Because why would they? What would they gain from that? Right? They're not getting into Langman prison, they're not getting into Rhodes Island. Hello. Skull Shatterer? Skull Shatterer. Yeah. Yes, Skull Shatterer. The one who gets bullied by a hyperactive squirrel with a fire extinguisher. Or I guess fire hose. Yeah, I think Shaw actually uses a fire hose. Not connected to anything, but a fire hose. Okay. We covered a little bit more in this episode than I expected, honestly. I thought it's gonna be mostly just talking with Wei and Wu, and maybe some added bits of like walking around Langman a little bit just to, you know, get you into the vibe of the city and whatnot. But hey, this is fine as well. I don't mind. It covered about as much as the game did. I'm not sure there was the car ride scene in the game. I don't remember a car ride. Then again, with a story presentation where it's just two static sprites, kinda hard to convey a car ride, right? Without someone explicitly mentioning, hey yo, we're going for a car ride now. Which is a total side note. That's another thing I have a bit of an issue with when it comes to storytelling in Arknights, the game. It's almost all dialogue and very little of like action prompts. It's either dialogue or some vague philosophy, very little of the two of them, and then set off onto the journey to the parking lot so that they can enter a car to drive to where Chief Wei Yanwu resides. Or, any sort of narration. It's mostly just talking heads and vague philosophy being spewed at you at the screen. That's why another way this anime is so great, because it actually has some visual narration and visual progression and visual everything. But yeah, enough about that. How about now, instead of talking about the game, we talk a little bit about the anime and watch it again. Shall we? Yes, we shall. A bit of a shift in events. In the game, this chapter, I believe, started with Amiya and Doctor arriving at Langmen and going pretty much straight for meeting with Chen, and then going um, to the room where Wei Yinwu and Kelsey were discussing things. Here, it's a little bit shifted, and do I like it? Do I not? I see what they're doing here. Maybe that's how I'm gonna say it. Because in the game, they're arriving at Langmen, talking to Chen, talking to Wei and Wu, yada 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 yada. The whole Misha business starts then. So it's very like segmented, right? This starts, this ends. Misha starts, Misha ends, right? This shows us more of a parallel storytelling. So we get the feeling that this is how it is in Langmen. There are orphans in the streets. There is this Ber Ursus girl, and then we get to Rhodes operators, and this tells us that while Amiya, Kelsey, and Doctor are talking to Wei and Wu and Chen, other things are taking place in the background. Other things with Misha, without Misha. I think it's for the better what they did here. This little bit of a shift in events. It changes nothing like story wise, but it enhances our understanding of events. I think. Little bear plushie. Little bear for a little Kuranta girl. Hmm. That's a lot of orphans in the streets. What does this one have? A bottle of something? A jar of something? I don't know. You have to live. Indeed. Misha wants to help however much she wants, despite herself being on the run, despite herself needing help very much. Until she does receive that help from Rhodes Island. Opie Opie. This I don't remember from the game. Rhodes being attacked by Langman, not Langman, by Reunion. Yeah, in the game they just arrive at Langman. I don't think there is any preemptive combat. But it's cool because we get to see Yato, the absolute badass that she is, a 2-star operator, but she's very useful, deceptively so. and also has some cool, maybe not story to her, but lore. She's kind of mysterious. She suffers an ailment that makes her burn up in the sun, almost like a vampire. So she always operates at night. She has the mask because, I don't know, sunlight hurts her eyes, probably. Something along those lines. And we meet Franca and Liskarm. Uh, One thing about Franca that is conveyed even more so later on, this anime really finally made me understand her demeanor and her mannerisms. It was kind of hard for me to place Franca somewhere. I heard that she's supposed to be like a Valley Girl kind of archetype, but I didn't get it through just text alone and voice lines in Japanese. I haven't tried her English voice actress, if she has English voice, that is. But yeah, this anime really does expand on some of those characters. I mean, in the first place, I haven't really used Franca. I think she's still at level 1 easy, bro. Regardless. Liz Carmen and Franca from Black Steel Worldwide, who are working alongside of Rhodes Island. There's plenty other companies and groups who enter some sort of an agreement with Rhodes Island, and it's usually sealed by an exchange of a member or two. Some Rhodes Island operator might go to that company, and one or two or more operators from that company come to Rhodes Island to like directly operate under their command. Not like Lee and Franca, who are still Black Steel employees and they are still being ordered by Black Steel, but are just helping around. More like Jessica, who is a Rhodes Island operator, but kind of came here from Black Steel as a liaison of sorts. Yeah, partnership with Rhodes Island. And oh no, we are late. Whole 14 minutes late. You want me to go back to the wastes? I mean, you can have, you can try to have Ursus take care of you somehow. After all, Chernobog was an Ursus city, so you'd expect Ursus government to take care of them, to send some vehicles around to pick up the not the stragglers, to pick up the I'm missing a word. The people who lost their homes and are now looking for a new place to stay. Ursus should have taken them in and brought them to some other Ursusian city. But of course, Langmen is closest, so they went for Langmen. Chen Chen and her commanding presence. Everybody immediately seizes as Chen takes complete control over the situation. Cold as ice. Don't you have any compassion? No. She does not. This scene, those scenes really do help convey Chen's character a little bit more. To me, her character started clicking only around the Solis event, where she was pretty much the main character, because her altar was released then. But this really shows who Chen is. She's commanding, she's very strict, she's very by the book, and she's also very powerful and has that kind of a almost royal regal presence to her. Whenever she shows up and yells a command, everybody pays attention, kind of like Kiryuin Satsuki vibes a little bit. Talking to her underlings without really turning towards them a little bit, which is a cool gesture, because it shows that she's not like fully cut out from everybody, that she's just focusing on Rhodes and just talking to someone behind her back. No, she's listening in and then speaking out. So she cares a little bit. Or maybe she cares very much, but just hides it. It's a really cool gesture. Rhodes Island can't even be punctual. I love how everybody has a phone here. It's such an obvious thing, right? That in a vaguely futuristic world, everybody would have a phone. And Dr. Dokuta just standing there like a coat hanger. Let's go to Lungmen. Yeah, this is all a mobile city. Remember when I said that, or did I say it? I don't remember. I might have. I think I did say it. There are mobile cities that have entire mountain ranges on them. There's a mobile city, Dos Soles, that has a like a chunk of an ocean on top of it. Whole entire city-states, essentially. Now, someone did correct me or supplemented some information in the comments to, I think, the previous episode. And indeed, they are correct in the comment that those cities aren't like one solid chunk, but rather they're made of multiple plates that, when there's no need to run from a catastrophe, they connect, join, and it's one big city. But when there is a need to run away from a catastrophe, they disconnect. Some of those plates might end up abandoned if it's something that's not particularly important for the functioning of the city, and yet leaving it behind would increase their chances of running away from the catastrophe. They will just leave it. They might migrate everybody living on one plate onto the other and leave that other plate behind. Or just, you can disperse when there's multiple plates and go in different directions and move a little bit faster, take more rough terrain. Because if there is a little bit of an incline and you have one big city, you're just gonna take the whole incline. Meanwhile, if there's multiple plates, they're gonna be at different levels of that incline. So yeah, every city is huge, humongous even, but it's made of multiple smaller cities, essentially. But it's the first time that we actually see like a good and proper infrastructure. Even in the game, every city we've been to mostly shows those almost pedestrian areas and the back alleys and the slums. You never actually see that, hey, roads and traffic lights. It's something that never actually like comes around, that people have cars, people have to move around those places somehow. There are roads, sure, but roads are a part of the city, so I guess they're there for aesthetic purposes. That was essentially my reception of Kazimierz when the Neural Events trilogy was taking place. That, yeah, sure, I can see it's a city, but it somehow doesn't go through that it is a city. Not just looks like a city, but it's an actual proper functional city. This really makes it sink in. There's a whole river going through the middle, there's a bridge, there's traffic lights, there's everything you would expect from a regular city. The only difference being it's moving. We know the gist of what happened in Chernobog. Yeah, survivors are pouring into Lungmen. Why go so far to reject the infected? For the safety of our citizens. Heartless? Perhaps. True? Absolutely. One thing is that, as we know, infected, when they crystallize fully and die, they explode and infect others. You don't want that happening in your city. Second of all, some of those infected might be reunion or potential reunion, or they might arrive here. Even if they throw those infected into the slums, they will start stirring shit. They will start sowing discord among the infected that were already there, but were mostly settled down and accepted their fate. And now we have a batch of brand new infected who are like, oh, we're all going to die. The reunion is our only choice. The reunion destroyed the city. They will come for Lungmen as well. And our only choice is to join us or die. And you suddenly have not 50 infected that you took in rioting. You have 5,000 infected rioting. Everybody in the slums. So she's fully correct in her decision, or in the city's decision. Car ride. That's cool. Again, another thing that never really got through me. There were vehicles in plenty of events and plenty of stories, but never like an actual good and proper car ride. And we arrive at Chef Wei and Wu's office. I love his design. A little bit overdone, but just like overdone to a good point. Like, if you were to add a couple more dots on his character, it would be gaudy, but it's at that point like skirting the line between designed and gaudy, and it's cool. I always liked Yen Wu's design. And here's Dr. Kelsey. We hear their voices finally. Quarantining won't help, won't keep impeding a reunion, because a reunion comes from the outside. The reunion doesn't need to necessarily enter Langmen. And if they do want to enter Langmen, they will enter Langmen. There's no stopping them. That's the truth. We've already made preparations. Not enough. Chernobog also had riot police and military and everybody else helping out. That didn't help them. That didn't stop the reunion. What kind of a bug is it? I don't know. It's like a tiny little fly, but jumping around. Who the fuck are you? I'm getting distracted again. Has Lungmen ever been in a conflict with a group of infected insurgents? No. No, they haven't been. And it's different than fighting just crime lords or gang members or whatever. Because you're fighting people who are truly desperate. Who are truly desperate to get in. Who are truly desperate to change something. Even though we know that that change isn't necessarily for the better, or rather the process of that change is brutal and bloody and doesn't discriminate against the people who have completely nothing to do with any of it. We know how it looks when the reunion gets in. And the scariest part about them, they don't really have anything to lose. Right? They will die to Oripathy one day, and they know it. They know they will die, so they are much more prone to take risks, much more prone to give their lives for the cause, so to speak. So even if the LGD has experience fighting other troublemakers, it's a completely different thing. To expand their influence, I'm not sure it's about influence. I think it might be more about sending the message. We are angry and we can burn down your entire fucking city-state. That's how angry we are. And do something about it. Give up. Start treating infected better. Things like that. Or we will continue burning down the other cities. The Reunion doesn't want to capture Langmen as their base of operations or something. They don't want to grow their borders. They want to burn. And they will burn as Talula commands. That's their goal. They will burn until their demands are fulfilled. Essentially. They can get large amounts of both in one fell swoop. That's also a thing. That's also a factor. They don't need to enter Lungmen en masse. Plenty of disgruntled infected in Lungmen. Send like 15 or 50 reunion members and start stirring shit. And start the riots. And have the rioters open the gates to the city. And you can stop that. There's a point where you just cannot stop that wave. And of course, we've learned from fighting them in vivo, not in vitro. It wasn't done through tests and simulations and theories and planning and whatnot. They actually fought Reunion. And they survived. And they did well during their fights. Shouldn't you first offer us intelligence? When I choose to fight alongside someone, I care about one thing only, and that is whether they have the strength to stand with me. Whose words are those? I don't remember them from the game. Is it like Sun Tzu? Could be Sun Tzu, honestly. I'm not sure. Records of your battles with Reunion prior to your arrival. We see a little bit more. I thought they're gonna go for the classic, let's take some shots from the previous 3 episodes, cut them together, put a filter on top, and be done with it. But no, those are like actual brand new shots, brand new cuts, brand new scenes that we haven't seen earlier. Someone's getting electrocuted by... Do we see those operators? No, just generic scout and generic guard. This is Fang. And Earth Spirit behind her. Earth Spirit has electricity powers. First I hear of it. Cruz. The close-eyed sniper. Some of the enemy units we see. These guys are heavy. If the appearance wasn't enough to tell you about it. Amia, Franca, Liskarm, and Beagle protecting the doctor. They definitely earn a passing grade. But they're just average. They're just good at fighting the Reunion. And we are also good at fighting the Reunion. So what do we gain from hiring them, right? Nothing. They're not exceptional. More Fang. Although from what I recall, Fang uses a spear. Here she uses a bow staff. Censorship reasons? I don't know, maybe. And here we see at the top Jessica, the Black Steel Worldwide operator who operates fully under Rhodes Island. LGD is more than capable of dealing with this problem ourselves. And if it was just Reunion goons, she would have been correct. Alas, it's not just the gun goons. It's more than the rioters. Exactly. More than rioters. It is the one burning everything all across the land with the raging anger of the infected, Reunion's leader, the tyrant. How many titles does she have? Tarura. Indeed. Reunion's leader. Is she a Draco or is she a Vouvre? She might actually be a Draco. I think Chen is a Vouvre. I'm not sure. The border between Draco and Vouvre is kind of muddled to me, honestly. Chernobog fell in one night because Reunion chose to act on the day of a catastrophe, and they might very well do the same with Lungmen. They can wait. They have the time. They will start sowing seeds of discord, and they will start creating underground cells of of riots, and then they will wait for a catastrophe to hit, and it will hit, and they will prevent Lungmen from escaping. And you're fucked. Because if they manage to keep you from escaping for even a day or two can make a difference. Even if you regain control of Langman, eventually it might very well be too late to escape the catastrophe. So you're fucked either way. And of course, Talula herself takes part in the operation. And of course, Ursus's next move, and now that they lost Chernobog. I'm not 100% sure what she's trying to imply here. That Ursus will wage war on... what country is Langman? Yan? I think it's Yan. Yeah, will they wage war on Yan? To regain territory or something? I don't know. I have no clue. And yeah, Wei is of course reasonable. 2 more conditions. Totally eradicating the reunion threat to Langman. That's gonna be hard because even if you eradicate reunion from Langman, as long as reunion the organization exists, they are a threat technically to every mobile city, including Langman. We'll talk about that once you're done with the first condition. That's never good. That's never good. When you have a deal where fulfill those 2 first conditions, then we're gonna talk about the third one. It's never good. I learned it from The Witcher 3 and the Hearts of Stone expansion. The hidden requirement is always the worst. Extra stipulation, any interpretation has to be agreed by both parties. Happy Way. Due to the nature of how Snout is built, whenever a character with a snout is speaking en face, you can't help but make them smile. I guess you could maybe lower those a little, but no, the upper jaw is static. Only the lower jaw moves, so the way the skin stretches, yeah, they will smile one way or another. It's quite an achievement to sign a contract with a man like him, indeed. What did she say? Oh, our first time meeting, yet no greeting. That rhymed. A bit of a tidbit about Kelsey and Dokta's relationship. It's kind of a meme, kind of canon, although not really, in like beta versions of the game, like the very early versions, the prototypes. Kelsey was Doctor's ex-wife, and later it, not so much as it was retconned, but it was just that little bit was removed. But people still do like to meme around and think of Kelsey as the Doctor's ex-wife, especially when we start getting into the relationship a little bit more. It really does. It really is giving off ex-wife vibes. It's interesting that she's taller than Doctor, though. Even without her shoes, she'd be about on par. Considering Dokuta is also wearing like slightly heeled shoes. Good to see you back. Said without a trace of a smile. Right, one thing I mentioned briefly. I never really paid attention to that in her like in-game sprite because it's just an in-game sprite, so it's supposed to look cool. But you kind of forget that those people wear things like that on the daily. So on the daily, she's almost flaunting the Originium crystals. Look, I'm infected. She's not hiding it, she's flaunting it. That tells you a lot about Kelsey's character. She gives no fucks, essentially, and she doesn't have to. We see some more Rhodes Island operators. Hibiscus and I forgot her name. How could I? How could I have forgotten her name? Beagle. Hibiscus and Beagle. Wait, is it Beagle or is it Croissant? That's Beagle, right? That's Beagle. Cruz and Lava. What are they talking about? Okay, yeah, we're going to investigate. Yeah, Reunion members are hiding here after entering city with the refugees. Exactly what I said. They just need a few to stir shit up. They just need a few. Just a regular house. Please don't leave my sight. Yeah, smell ya later. Doctor goes completely the other way. Because I guess he hears the commotion? Maybe? Good thing. But this is just comedy gold. Just not even moving the other hand. Like when you throw something, you usually see a position like, you know, you you throw something with the whole body. Doctor is just like loose arm, whip, whip, not giving a fuck, completely anemically throwing those rocks. Not even an opening with something like, hey, yo, stop bullying them. No, just throw some rocks. Now, thankfully, he has a bodyguard that can use black arts. Stay back, you monster. You can pretend it doesn't hurt you, but it stings. Every time it stings just a little bit, doesn't it? It's nice to see the paramedic again. As I mentioned, brings back, gives us a little continuity that, hey, I remember this guy. He was there with them as well. It's not another disposable medic, it's that medic. That cool medic that healed Anya, and now he's healing other people. Bad guys are after Misha, you must help her. And we will. We of course will help her. They don't have a home. It's the slums, what do you expect, honestly? I wanna see her, we'll help her for sure. I'm 100% certain of that. You will help her, you will help Misha. Nothing will ever go awry in this quest. I really do like. I really did grow to like Franca a little bit more, even. I already liked her as a character, and I was always meaning to build her, but I don't really have a use for her. But after this episode, I think I'm gonna throw her a couple of resources and give her at least like E1. Maybe not E2, but I'm gonna get her to E1 at least. Oh yikes, did she hear that? At least you didn't call her an old well, so that's something. In the current events, Tutti Varanavi, there is on the screen, there is a name of the location, and above that is an image of something relevant to that location. Like a character that's the main character during in that place during that scene or something, and you have the name of location Old Well, and above that is the portrait of Kelsey. Ever since then, everybody started calling her an old well. Kind of fits, honestly. Just waving. And everybody's looking for Misha. And Chen Chen is being an ass, like always. You need to bring Bagpipe to loosen her up a little bit. Taking her into custody is our top priority. Well, that's awkward, because protecting her is our top priority. Or whatever the Seinfeld theme is. Yeah, and or the like to be continued arrow, the music and the to be continued. That also works, I guess. Misha is running, of course. The sound design in the scene. No music, no sounds, just echoing footsteps that you can imagine if you close your eyes, right? You can feel those footsteps. You can feel this breathing. I don't know, did they use like an ASMR mic for that or something? Because there was an MP3 file popular back in the days when MP3 players were all the rage. I think it was called Barbershop, and it was demonstrating stereo. Wow, stereo, something brand new, right? And it was a recording of a guy walking around you and snipping your hair using nail clippers, putting a foil bag on your head, and you heard everything. And it was such a cool experience. And this is really reminding me of that. When you close your eyes, you can like feel nervous about footsteps approaching you because it feels real. Yep, Amiya Liskarm. And she started listening to you. She started showing a little bit of like will to not run. But then you kind of fucked it up by bringing Franca and Docta here. It's one thing seeing someone with a shield and a gun because the immediate association is, hey, protection. And Amiya, a 14-year-old, I believe, girl, probably fairly you'd think fairly harmless. But then enters Franca with like a supersonic, vibrating, heated up rapier uh, on her hip, and then enter Docta, who looks like a fucking ring wraith. Shouldn't have done that. Now it works out, of course, as soon as Amiya shows that she herself is infected. Um, yeah, Franca just doesn't care. She just says what she wants. But yeah, thankfully, well, thankfully, thankfully, Amiya is infected and thus is able to find some rapport with other infected. Useful trait to have in certain twisted way. If you stay on the run, these kids might find themselves in danger. True. As long as Misha is generally available, so to speak, they might choose to kidnap her friends and leave a message. Hey, yo, give yourself up, or we're gonna do something bad to your friends. If Misha is somewhere else, again, be it in LGD's custody or safely on Rhodes Island or carted off to, I don't know, Sargon or whatever, they no longer have a means of finding her through her friends. So they're gonna be safe automatically. Or safer. As safe as you can be in Langben slums. Here comes Skull Shatterer, more reunion, loyalty. Skull Shatterer is kind of a meme character, not in the story. The story of Skull Shatterer is fucking heart wrenching, honestly, at least to me. But when it comes to mechanics, pretty much every stage where Skull Shatterer exists as a boss or a mini boss, you use Shaw or Feeder or someone else who can just push her off a cliff or into a hole or off the side of a building or something like that. You never kill Skull Shatterer, actually, you just push them off into the spike pit or somewhere like that. Kind of a meme, honestly. In one stage, this stage actually requires you to push Skull Shatterer through a wall. I guess it doesn't require you to, but it's fun to do, so people do that. I'm looking forward to this arc, to Misha arc, to Skull Shatterer arc. And that's it. That was episode 4. That was episode 4 of Arknights Prelude to Dawn. And we are entering an arc that probably hit me the most so far. I haven't finished the 6th chapter yet, where something happens with one of the characters. I'm not gonna put any, like, not gonna spoil you any more than that. I know what happens to that character, and I'm not looking forward to that happening to that character. Especially since there was apparently like a better out, but it didn't work out for some reason. Regardless, this is the first chapter in the game that actually like hit me right here, right in the kokoro. And on one hand, I'm looking forward to that. On the other, I'm kind of not, because it's bittersweet at best. Although that might be, even that might be too much of a spoiler for anime onlys. I don't think it is. Again, you probably already know that the world of Arknights is pretty bleak and pretty dark, so I don't think you expect everything to have a good ending, fully good ending, because we have some good endings in Arknight, absolutely plenty of them, but they are never, almost never, like fully good. There's always a little bit of that twisted knife in your gut. You're kind of happy because it ended well, but not for everybody. Or you're happy because everybody survived, but the enemies were kind of cool and you kind of wanted them to join, but alas. Those kinds of vibes. There's nothing, almost nothing purely good. I think Gavial the Great Chief Returns was like the one and only event that was purely fun, and there was no like mind-shattering drama there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This episode, cool setup, cool to see all those characters. It really fleshed out Franca and Chen to me. Not so much Chen because Chen was fleshed out to me by other events, but really fleshed out Franca a fair bit. So I did enjoy this episode very much. Now excuse me as I go to play some Arknights and maybe go through chapter 6 finally, or not. We'll see. We'll see what I feel like doing, I guess. Stultifera Navis I'm going to be playing sometime in the unspecified future, so you might want to stick around for that as well. Anything else that has to be said about this episode? I love the final scenes with Misha in that building and the sound design. That was probably the highlight of this episode to me. And of course, the scenes with Wei and Wu. Those were always. Those were almost, not almost. Also, that's the word I was looking for. Those were also great. All those cool, like, wide shots from below, from above. Yeah, I did very much enjoy this episode. Bit of a slower one than usual, although the Arknights anime isn't particularly fast-paced in the first place. One question I do have is how much longer do we have? We have 4 more episodes, and I can see Misha's arc being wrapped up in, let's see, 1, 2, 3 episodes tops, maybe. Unless they add some like additional detail, which they might, then sure, I can see that reaching 4 episodes. That might happen. We'll see. There's no use theorizing about the future because we will just see what's gonna happen the very next week. And even earlier than that, because they always release like episode trailers, which I'm not gonna watch because I don't want to get spoiled, even though I know the story. But maybe it's just me. So, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. But maybe you have something more to add to this video, to my reaction, to my theories. Leave a comment down below. What did you think of them? Did I miss something? Did I misinterpret something? Did I misremember something? Or maybe you are a much bigger Arknights lore nerd than me and you have something completely else to tell me? Please do. No spoilers for the broader game, please. There are some anime onlys in the comments. If you do want to talk Arknights though, Discord, it's here, it's also in the description. Click the link, join, and you will be able to talk about everything Arknights without fear of spoiling it to anybody who doesn't want to have it spoiled. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only Arknights Prelude to Dawn, but also Symphogear Axis, Gundam Witch from Mercury, Tensei Shitaraken Deshita, Management of a Novice Alchemist, And what else? Madoka Magica, the movie Rebellion. I'm gonna watch soon, I promise. I just haven't had the time recently. Anything else that I'm watching right now? I don't think I missed anything. If I did, go to my channel. All my videos are there, so figure it out. Sorry. But yeah, kinda. Um, Subscribe. Click the bell if you want to be notified when I go live with my Arknights and other streams. Support the channel if you want monetarily. Patreon Throne, links in the description. On Patreon for $10 a month, get early access to non-seasonals like Symphogear, like Madoka, and for just $1, you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits that you're gonna see very shortly. And on Throne, you can pitch in directly towards my purchase of better lighting, some software, not better camera because this one's pretty good. But hey, if you want to fund me a DSLR, I'm all for it. Why not? And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, it's completely free. Share my content, spread the word. It does help the channel a lot. And with that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the list of patrons, and you can be one of them if only such is your desire.